Rust, a game for 40-year-old men and 12-year-old boys. Rust, a game for PvP tryhards and musically talented people.
That's so good. What?
In this video, I will be going over what Rust as a game is, as well if it is worth buying, and why the lead developer is so fake. Rust started out as a web browser game back in 2013, as a DayZ clone. However, it soon became a standalone Steam game in 2014, named Rust Legacy. This is also during the time where I picked up the game. However, I didn't play that much Legacy, so I can't really give you 100% insight of what Legacy felt like. I really started getting back into Rust in 2016, and therefore we'll leave Legacy at this. If you played Rust in late 2014, whenever you launched the game, the window pop-up would let you choose to play either Rust Legacy or a new Rust. This new Rust would go on to be way different, and it was the start of something new.
Oh, he's flanking me. I killed him. He's down.
After about a year, you could really see this Rust come along. Not many people would choose to prioritize Legacy anymore, and a blueprint system was now established on the new Rust. And for the purpose of this video, we're gonna jump ahead a couple of years. What game is Rust today? How does it look like and how does it feel to play? Rust in its core is a survival game, including PvPing, raiding, building, crafting, sandbox game. It is updated every month by Facepunch Studios and is one of Steam's most sold games of all time. The current way of progression in Rust is throughout the component and scrap system. With the scrap system, you are required to have components. With the scrap, you are able to blueprint items that you get from looting monuments and other places, or even killing people for it. Once you have an item blueprinted, you are now able to craft that item. Eventually, you will gather enough items to which you are able to use it to progress. Meaning you'll have better items to fight other people with and better items to loot more dangerous monuments. There are of course other ways of progressing in Rust, such as killing other people with higher gear than you and simply obtaining better loot from that. With that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the reality of Rust. What should you as a new player expect when getting into Rust? To start off with, I'd just like to say that Rust is one of the most brutal games of all time, and probably the most brutal survival game out there. Whether it's you dying constantly, or simply just being put in an unfair situation in this game, having to press the restart button is so common. It really doesn't matter how many hours you have in this game, whether it's 1, or 1,000, or 3,000, 4,000, you still run into situations that simply just was unfair for you. But honestly, that's also a part of the game. Rust really just treats you like dog shit sometimes, but honestly, if you keep on trying, eventually your enemy will be the one that's in an unfair situation and you will have the luck on them. So something really important with Rust is to always keep trying if you really want to progress. Staying away from the hardcore part of Rust, something that is really rewarding and isn't too hard to pick up, is building in Rust. Picking up the basics of building is definitely not too hard and doesn't take that much effort. However, there's of course more expert ways of building in Rust, and which takes, more time and practice, but there's a lot of YouTube tutorials for that, so there's no problem if you really want to get into that. As for the opposite of building, raiding in Rust is definitely way harder. It really does require you knowing exactly what to do. From everything from seeing other people to come counter you raiding, or knowing where to blow your explosives, not to waste them. Raiding in Rust is definitely, in my opinion, the hardest way, as so much risk is on the line, as well as it is really unfair. Of course, raiding also takes much more experience in Rust, as well as numbers in general with people. Raiding solo is even harder. Some explosives are unpredictable, knowing you might blow up in a second doing it, or it's just you really need someone to hold your back while you're blowing explosives. With the core mechanics of Rust out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Rust in 2020 and if you should buy Rust. I think there are multiple reasons why people want to buy Rust in 2020. Maybe you've seen some YouTube dude make some fat play or something and thinking, damn, I want to try this game out. Or maybe you have some friends who play Rust and you're kind of wondering if you want to pick up the game as well. So let's get into this. So first off, I'd like to start with saying that don't expect too much of Rust. If you're buying Rust and expecting to have an experience like a Wellen video, just know that Wellen and the other YouTubers that get a lot of views, all of them have thousands of hours in this game. And they're also playing with other people that also have thousands of hours in this game. Rust is a game that takes really just countless hours to master. But don't let that scare you off. Of course you can reach that part of Rust. Either if you're starting out and you want to try out that big stuff, go a little bit of modded. These servers will help you get to endgame way faster. Now, I'd also like to say that something else I recommend you to have are teammates. The best thing would be if you and your friends are looking for a new game to play and all have similar interest in what type of games you like, you might just all give Rust a chance. Because Rust is so much more fun and so much more easier when you have teammates. Especially if you are all beginners, you will learn way faster from each other and you'll generally just have a way better time playing the game. So yeah, I really recommend getting teammates. And lastly, I'd also like to say that Rust is really just time consuming. To reach endgame on the vanilla stage, it will take days, especially for beginners. So therefore, as I said before, having more teammates will also help get you to endgame faster. But then again, I wouldn't say don't take Rust way too seriously when you start playing it. Try to have fun with what you get, just try learning it, and eventually it will come naturally. If you wanted to progress to better gear. So the best thing would be if you and some friends, have a couple of hours every weekend that you like spending playing video games. Rust is definitely something that would be fun to play. And just a little bit of like computers tech stuff, like if your PC is able to run Rust or not. I'm currently playing on a 970 NVIDIA card with an i5 processor. I am currently running Rust at a solid 50 to 60 FPS on a little bit lower settings. Rust is a game that is a little bit harder to run, especially if you have a fairly slow computer, with some outdated specs. So I recommend having that in mind when buying Rust, that the computer might not be able to handle a stable 60 FPS, but there are definitely tutorials on YouTube that can help you run Rust at a smooth 30 constant frames with some really some big optimizations and hitting the lowest settings. So yeah, keep that in mind. So yeah, there you have it. And now for the final question: should you buy Rust? I have almost 4,000 hours in Rust, and personally, if you're honestly just interested in the genre itself, then yeah, go ahead and pick up the game. It's definitely one of the best survival PvP games out there, if not the best. I've stuck to Rust because I think it really has everything that I like in video games, which is high intense PvP and base building. I think those are really cool. And Rust has definitely perfected both of those in one way or another. Later in the video, before I end it, I will go and talk a little bit about some stuff that I think is a little bit unfair, to an extent that makes the game worse. However, if you're just looking to pick up a game and you don't know if you want to take this tryhard or not, just pick up Rust. You will definitely have a fun time playing with friends and learning the game. It's definitely a unique game and does not really compare to the most common ones. Rust is a game that you can play fairly casual if you feel like, or take really seriously. It all depends on what your playstyle is, but there's definitely servers that will fit for everyone, So yeah, in my opinion, definitely give Rust a try. It might not appeal to absolutely everyone, but if you just take your time and keep on hitting that respawn button once you die, you will eventually end up with something that's fun. So yeah, there you have it. Now before I end the video, something that I would like to see Rust to change are shotguns in Rust. 3 shotguns that needs to be nerfed is the Ioka, the water pipe, and the double barrel shotgun. 3 weapons are fairly easy to craft, and the Ioka is disgustingly easy to craft. These weapons are too powerful in my opinion. It doesn't matter if you've been grinding an hour to get a full 8k gear set. Some kid with an yoke can just pull up behind you and shoot you in the back of the face and get all of your loot. Now of course you have to be at a really close distance to be able to kill people with a shotgun. However, it is not hard at all hiding in a bush and waiting for a guy to run by, especially if this person is running away from another fight. Just run up on the guy and shoot him in the face. It really requires no skills, a very cheap way of grinding your way up. So yeah, thank you for watching my review on Rust. If you have any questions or just like some simple help with Rust, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try to as best as I can. So yeah, thank you again, and I hope you have a good day.